Hello again, everybody. I am super excited to have you guys with me because, man, do I have a guest for you today. And I just want to say welcome. Welcome to another episode of Wife for Life with none other than your marriage specialist, Michelle McElroy. You know, and today my powerhouse guest is none other than Marlene Trimuel. Help me welcome her, y'all. Yay! Woo, 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 woo. Hey, Marlene.
Hi, how are you? Thank you so much for having me on. I am so excited.
Thank you for coming on. I'm so excited because I know a lot about you, but they don't know a lot about you. So I am ready to get right in it and let them know what's up with Marlene. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, you said my name already, Marlene Trimuel, and I am married to Reverend Terrence Trimuel Sr.
Okay.
And I have two children. My son, Terrence Trimuel Jr., he's 25. And then my daughter, Tamara, she is 23. No, she's 22. I take that back. They're 3 years apart. So she's 22. I don't want to rush her age. Well, you know what? She'll be 23 in a couple of weeks. So, yeah.
Happy early birthday.
Oh, thank you. And so I've been married now. You know, I lose count. Michelle. I got married in 97. So that's what, 28 years? It'll be 29 this year. So it's been 28 wonderful years. I can't complain.
Oh my goodness. I love it. Now, when you say you can't keep track, does that get you in trouble?
You know what? The thing is this, we got married, of course, 2 years after I get the years mixed up as to how long we've been together. And actually, you know what? He keeps better track of it than I do. Isn't that odd?
Right.
He'll tell you right away. We got married. We're married for this many years. We've been engaged for this. We were engaged for this amount of years, and he'll even say we've been friends for X amount of years. I'm like, wow, that's really impressive.
Yeah. So he doesn't get upset with you about the number.
No, he always, he'll tease me. He's like, now how you gonna? I have to count it up. You know, I'm getting older now, so
you like,
I just have to subtract. Yes.
Hey, he's the historian. That's okay.
Yes.
That's okay. We like that. Awesome. So tell us a little bit more. So we know you've been married for a grip. You got two beautiful young adult children. So tell us about you and what you do.
Well, I am also a minister, and I am a women empowerment speaker. I love ministering and empowering women. Do that on a daily basis, right? And I'm also an author. I wrote a book last year. I have a couple of books out. Me and my husband, we wrote one back in 2014, Divorce Your Debt. And it talks about the 4 areas of debt in which we carry in our life, and how they become toxic over the years. And it's just a really good self-assessment book. And I also came out last year with a book entitled From Corporate to Marketplace. You weren't fired, you were set free.
And
that came at a time, Michelle, where, you know, when we were going through our transition with the government, because I have to say that I am a government worker. And my heart went out to the people that were just laid off. I witnessed it with my own eyes. And so at that time, I was writing another book, but God had me shift and say, no, you need to write this. And it is a book that talks about the 7 divine principles, biblical principles of entrepreneurship. Is geared toward women who need to transition from corporate to the marketplace, taking their gifts, right, their skills, their experience, and turning it into a purpose-driven business.
Wow. I love that. Is that partially your story as well?
You know what? I thank God that I'm still there. But it is, I feel that, you know, we should have multiple streams of income as women, you know, and then it also talks about how we as tight as women, I call it Generation X women. We need to pass the torch and teach the younger women, as it states in the word. We need to train them, and I think we can do that with having a business and being an entrepreneur. Is all throughout the Bible.
Yeah.
Instead of us just sitting on our skills,
Hmm.
we need to share it and impact others.
Yeah. Pass that on to the next generation.
Yes, definitely.
Equip them, to be successful.
Hmm.
And I love that because I think a lot of us would love to see our children be more successful than we.
Yes, yes, and I'm also a AI business coach. I teach AI,
Ah,
especially for my age group. I have no problem telling my age. I am 55, and I'm loving
woo,
it and embracing it.
I love it too.
Um, but a lot of us, believe it or not, Michelle, I never, it's like this day seems so far away. We're talking about retirement,
Mm-hmm.
but we're still so young.
Mm-hmm.
But guess what? Most of us are afraid of AI.
Mm.
So I'm teaching, women how to embrace AI and
Yeah.
use it to amplify your voice, your skills, and your talent. And it's, hey, you can sit from the comfort of your home and just um, share your gift with the world. And you don't have to show your face. Honey, I can teach you some stuff.
Oh my goodness. I've thought about AI as far as helping you develop content, but I have noticed recently that a lot of people use AI for imagery as well. Is that what you're
Yes,
referring to?
yes, imagery. You can use it for podcasts because you have a lot of women that are introverts.
Mm-hmm.
They don't like showing up on camera. I have a solution for that. I am a solution based person. Is no reason why you should not be sharing your gift and your talents and your skills with the world
Yeah.
and making money from it.
That part. And that's so common nowadays, that people are making money through either a side, career or an additional gift that they may have. It may not be their main source of income, but
Right.
it is
Yeah.
a source, which is
Yes.
helpful.
Definitely.
I love that. So tell us a little bit about you and Terry. How did you guys meet and how did you become the Trimuel?
Well, believe it or not, I am 2 years older than Terrence, so he never lets me live that down, right? So as a junior in at we graduated and met at Eastern Illinois University.
Yes, one of the best universities.
Yes, yes. And so
And
I was a junior, and I was also a mentor, a
okay,
peer helper.
okay.
And so I was his mentor when he came in as a freshman
Mm.
to get him acclimated to college and everything. And we were just friends. I know he claimed, he said, when I introduced myself over the phone, before he came down, he's like, I knew then you were going to be my wife. I'm like, yeah, right. He was a freshman.
Yeah.
He had his little crush on an upperclassman, but I'm like, go somewhere and sit down. But we stayed friends, and I just never saw him as being my boyfriend or anything.
Oh.
But oh, let me tell you, I don't know what happens, and it was a transition between his junior and senior year. It's like overnight the maturity came, and it's like the blinders came off.
Mm.
I remember he came over to see me. It's for the 4th of July, Michelle. And I saw him. I was like, whoa, he had a little muscle. He set me up, though. That's all.
I
He had his little tank on, had his little
knew you
muscle.
were gonna say
So he did get me. He did get me.
that.
And but we were just friends. But he came over. My mother saw him. She just loved him because, believe it or not, I went to church. I grew up with his first cousins. And
Oh.
my father knew his father just from being in the neighborhood and everything and working. So they knew each other. So they knew he had, they were old school. He came from a good family and everything.
Mhm.
But we ended up just being friends. But once I got into grad school, that's when he was getting ready to graduate, and just things he expressed his interest again. Then I was like, okay, you're ready. Because at first I was like, no, you're not ready for what I'm ready for. And plus I wanted to be focused. I was I
Mm,
wanted to finish school. I was not even thinking about getting in a serious relationship at that time. So he
yeah,
was patient and everything, but when it was time, he was like, "Now it's time."
that is so funny. I'm just trying to think back. I remember Terry from Eastern because he and Ray sang in
Hmm.
the Greek choir.
Yes, yes.
And so that's how I remember him, is singing in the Greek choir.
Man,
But
he's
I
still
don't
with us. He's
I
still
don't
singing.
he's still singing?
Hmm.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I don't have a recollection of age or grade or where we were. I just remember him from that. But that is so awesome. He's still singing.
Yes.
Wow. And that just makes me think. So I'm loving this theme that you're giving as far as because I feel like I just had this conversation with my daughter. She's
Hmm.
19 and in college and desiring a relationship, but I'm like, hey, focus on you, focus on your goals, focus on developing who you want to be in life, because once you get into a committed relationship, now your focus is divided. And so
Hmm.
I love what instilled that principle in you. Why were you there? Was it something pressing or a
You
family
know,
member that insisted, or
yes. For my family, it was seven of us, and my goal.
siblings? Or when you say us, what do you
I'm
mean?
sorry. I'm sorry. It's seven. It's siblings. I
Okay.
had five. I have five brothers and one sister,
Wow.
and so I was just so determined to go away to school,
Mm.
and I did not want to disappoint my parents because I would be the first one out of the seven of us going away
Oh,
to
wow.
college. But ever since I was a little girl, I'm like, I am going to go to college, and I didn't want anything to get in my way.
I love
Okay. But I did have a heartbreak, but I did not like that feeling.
it.
And I
Mm.
said, no, I do not want anything to, be a stumbling block for me.
Yeah.
And one of the things I love sharing the story. I know you just mentioned your daughter. My daughter, I tell her the same thing. And then whenever I minister to other young ladies, and all my favorite story is Naomi and Ruth.
Mm.
I said Ruth was minding her business.
Minding her business.
Her job was to go to the field,
Yep.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And do her job and go back home to take care of her mother-in-law.
Mm-hmm.
Because she was in her rightful position every day, guess who was noticing her? Boaz.
Yes.
And he made sure she was taken care of.
Mm.
Think about that. So I tell my daughter, I said, sometimes you have to know your seasons. Your season right now is to go to college,
Mm-hmm.
get your education. Because guess what? God is preparing your Boaz. He's preparing your husband. He hears your prayers because he did the same thing for me.
Mm.
I knew, like, when Terrence liked me, I was like, no, I'm not trying to have any detours here.
Yeah.
And so he understood that. We stayed friends. I'm like, I stayed focused on getting my career together. And I said, if it's meant for us to be together, God is going to make sure we cross our paths.
Yeah.
And my mother told me this little crazy thing, Michelle, when I was little. She said, you need to make sure you good and ready. So when your husband come and interview you, he'll hire you.
I like where she's going with that, though. You know what I'm saying? I mean, initially we do it for our own edification, right? Our
Mhm.
own education. But consequently, now, as I told my daughter, your Boaz finds you and you're good, and
Mhm.
you offer favor in his life.
Come on now.
He finds a wife, finds a good
Good
thing,
thing.
and obtains
And
favor.
yes.
And so when we do what God purposed us to do, then we present ourselves in a way that we're good and we bring favor to our
Yeah.
mate. And so, yeah, I love that mindset that your mom said. So when he interviews you, you get
Yeah.
hired.
I'm like, interview me. And I just had that etched in my mind.
Yeah.
Because let's be real, Michelle. I think with reality TV have our younger girls, feeling like that they're in competition with each other.
Yeah.
And let's be real, the I guess their choices are kind of limited. And so sometimes they feel as if they have to lower their standards.
Mm.
And I feel that because I have a son and, got a daughter. So, I have to make sure I'm balanced. And I wanted to make sure I poured into my son because I want him to show up
Yeah.
one day as a husband, right? I want him to be somebody that um, I would marry. You see what I'm saying? Um,
Absolutely.
he has values. He knows how to wash. He knows how to do all those things. I
Yeah.
don't want him to be another mother's headache. Put it that way. So I switch sides over there, right? And then also for the young ladies, my daughter, and I tell her, I say, you're not in competition. Your husband is out there, just like his wife is out there. He's going to find you. You just make sure you're in the right position. Because sometimes when we rush things, we rush into relationships we should not be in,
Mm.
right? And your husband out there looking, she normally comes here. No, you over there in somebody else's lane when you should be in your lane.
Yep.
And see, Ruth stayed in her lane.
Yes, she did.
She stayed in her lane.
Yeah. Yeah, that's powerful. And it ties into your own personal story as her parents because you decided to stay focused on what you went to school for, which was to
Mhm.
get your degree. And because you were doing what you were called to do, what you were purposed to do, Terry was willing to wait. You
Mm.
were valuable enough to him to wait.
Oh yes, yeah. That's what he says too.
Yeah,
He, he he says the same thing. I think he was before his time.
yeah.
And it's ironic, Michelle. I'm the fifth child. He's the fifth child.
Oh, wow.
And so we had, older siblings to learn from.
Yeah.
And so when we came together, we were able to share a lot of common experiences. And I was also able to learn from my parents as well.
Mhm.
Some of the things that I knew that I wanted to, bring into my marriage, and then some things that I didn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we sat down and we talked about that beforehand. So,
Yeah. Yeah, but at the same time, I do think there are a nice number of guys that are out there like that. Like even when I think about Ray, he pursued me. I did
mhm.
not necessarily make myself readily available to him. He was patient. We were friends first, just like
Yes.
you guys. There are some guys out there that once they make their mind up that you are my wife,
Mm.
even though you haven't even said yes to being their girlfriend yet,
Uh-huh.
that they are willing to go the course that's necessary until that becomes a reality. And if we could get young women to recognize that, or women of any age, to just recognize that God already gave us value by saying that we are good and we bring favor.
Exactly. We have to know that for ourselves and not rush the process.
Mhm.
I strongly believe that. I'm glad you said that about Ray. I know when he always tells his story, he lights up.
Yeah.
But I know for a fact that men are hunters.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They are hunters, and when they have when they have you as their target,
Mhm.
trust me, you will know. But a man likes a challenge.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, and that's a great thing too, because one of the things that I feel that we should do as wives is we're the wind beneath their wings, right? That's why we came from their rib, right?
Yeah.
But keep them uplifted, and how we keep them uplifted is we keep ourselves empowered as well.
Mm, mm. And when I think about that, it kind of segues into my next question for you because of the work that's necessary to keep up who we have been called to be, how helpful that is during challenging times. And so, when you think about your marriage, because you've been married a long time,
Mhm.
and it's impossible to be in a relationship with someone for almost 30 years and not go through some trying times, some trials, some tribulations, and some testing of faith, just all kind of things.
Yes, yes.
So, I mean, I could go on and name several things that Ray and I experienced that now I would consider testimonies. What about you?
Michelle, I totally agree with you. I think one of my greatest trying times was when I had brain surgery.
Mm.
Unexpected, things happen in life, but that right there was unexpected. And
Oh.
it was during a time where um, I was, we were grieving, going through the process of grieving. And sometimes as being ministers, you think that you got it all together, but no, I know that is when you really, really, God is going to test you, right? Um, and what happened was it was January 31st of 2018. Michelle, I was coming from an appointment. I was on the phone with my husband, and I got dizzy while I was on the phone, and I'm like, well, maybe I'm thinking. I said, "Ooh," I said, I'm dizzy, and this pain just shot down the left side of my body, and my head was just like somebody was squeezing it. And I said, you know what? I haven't eaten anything. Maybe I just need to eat something. I said, I'm gonna go home. He's like, no, you don't. He said, you need to go to the emergency room because he was at work. He was downtown at work, and I said, no, I said, okay, I guess I will. So I live right down the street from my mom, like right around the corner, like less than 5 minutes. And my sister works less than 5 minutes from where I live as well. And so as I was turning the corner, Michelle, I got dizzy again. But I was driving slow enough where if I had to stop, I can stop. So I didn't want to go by my parents' house because, my mom, they got a remedy for everything, right? And so I knew she was going to tell me to take something, some Robitussin or something. I was like, but at that time she was dealing with, she had cancer. And my father, yeah, he had congested heart failure. And I was also losing my brother to cancer. And they were all in the house. So I did not want them worrying about me. But Michelle, as I turned that corner, it started happening again. I knew I wasn't going to be able to make it to my sister's job. So I ended up going to my mom's house. I was outside, but them old school parents, they see you sitting in the car, she leaning out the door. Marlene, come on in. And I said, Molly, I was trying to tell her I'm okay. But I went ahead. I said, if I pass out, at least I'll be in the house. And as soon as I got in the house, and she's like, you don't look good, Marlene. I said, no, Mom, I don't feel well. And she said, well, you know what? It's your blood pressure. Take some of my medicine. I said, Mom, I'm not taking your medicine. But my sister, she was there. She came right through the door. She was like, Mom, she's not taking your medicine. She said, Marlene, let's go. So ended up going to the hospital. They ran all types of tests, Michelle, and said, you're fine. I said, Doctor, I'm not fine. This room, I'm laying down. This room is spinning around. And then that's when they said, we're going to have to keep you overnight, run tests, right? It was the next day when they did the MRI. And so the surgeon came in and said, you want the good news or the bad news? I said, well, let's start with the good news first, and that's when he said I had a herniated disc in my neck, right?
Oh, okay.
And he said that's causing the pain. He said, but the bad news is that you have an aneurysm on the right side of your brain. He said it's small. He said, but you need to go ahead because you don't want it to erupt. Michelle, when he told me that, instantly it's like everything just went dark in the room. I just started praising God.
Wow.
Because right then and there, I said, God, you could have taken me out. I said, but you brought me here so you can show me what was going on inside of my body. And so he said, but I need you to go see, a surgeon right away. Not a surgeon. Yeah, a doctor. who's a surgeon right away. I said, okay, no problem. Made my appointment. When I went to go see him, it had to be like a week later. He asked me right away. He said, what is going on with you? Because you're too young to have this aneurysm. I started telling him, I said, well, I'm losing my brother to cancer. My mom has cancer. My father has, he was like, say no more.
Yeah.
He said, I'm going to tell you something. He said, you probably don't want to hear this. And it's going to be hard to do, but you have to do it. He said, you have to put yourself first, because if you don't, your stress is going to take you out.
Wow.
Michelle, he only had to tell me that one time. And that day it just sunk in. Because I'm the go-to person in the family. And sometimes as women, we multitask. That's just how we are.
Yeah.
And sometimes we think we got it together. We got our schedules, and that's how it was. Everything was lined up. I'm being there for everybody else. But Marlene didn't take care of Marlene. I can tell you how to take care of you, but I wasn't taking care of myself. And plus, my parents, those are my parents, and that's my brother, But after that, I learned the verse that says, cast all your cares on me because I careth for you. Yeah. It was personal. I was casting my cares on him, but I was still trying to figure everything out myself, Michelle. Yeah. And then when my father, God spoke to me and said, and my brother, he said, I love them too. There's nothing you can do.
Wow.
He said, I care for them just like I care for you. And don't you know, when I went to see the doctor, he said, we need to go ahead and, he said, it's not a matter of if you're going to have surgery, it's when. And he said, so I would advise, because it's small, to go ahead and have it. And I said, I can't. My husband looked at me. He said, what you mean you can't? I said, I can't.
I know he did.
Because you know why? My son was graduating that year.
Oh, wow.
He was graduating from high school. That's number one. Yeah. And I knew I was not going to be able to heal properly because of my, what was going on with my parents and my brother. But I had a talk with God. I said, God, I know you brought me here just so you can tell me what was going on in my life, correct? And so that I can now learn how to properly care for myself, and also how to walk in faith and not try to carry the burden that's not mine to carry. So the plan was every 3 months I would go in to get an MRI. He said, as soon as, if it starts getting a little bigger, you're going to have surgery. Yeah. So for a whole year and a half, I didn't have
a year and a half, Marlene.
2018. That's when I found out, right? I didn't have surgery until August 9th, 2019. Wow. And even then, let me tell you, Michelle, you probably like, girl, you crazy. When I went in August to do the MRI, he came running back in there. I promise you. He's like, Marlene, we need to go have surgery. I'll never forget. It was on a Tuesday. And I said, I can't. He said, what do you mean you can't? And Terrence like, you're going to have this surgery. And his nurse is in there to schedule. I said, because you know what? I'm leaving for my national convention tomorrow in New Orleans, with the Deltas. I know it sounds crazy, but and you know what? I said, God got me. Trust me. He said, okay, when you going to get back? I said, I'll be back on that Friday, because he did surgeries every Thursday. Okay. He said, I'll schedule it for next Thursday. Then I said, no, I can't, because my daughter had got accepted into the Black Girls Rock. They had a conference. So she was out of like over 1,000 applicants. She got accepted. So I wanted to make sure that she was able to go there and have a good time and not worry about me. So when we got back from that, that's when I scheduled the surgery.
So did the doctor allow you to prolong this surgery another time because of your daughter doing the Black Girls Rock thing?
You know what? He did. And so when we got back, I had surgery.
You are stressing me out. I know you stressed that doctor.
I know what. You know what? It was my faith, right?
Praise
and
God.
I had to really, really trust in God, because he even asked My son also was leaving to go to college
Okay.
that same year. And
Mm-hmm.
he said, Mom, I want you, he was going back to college. I'm sorry. He was going into his second year. He
Mm-hmm.
said, Mom, I want you to have the surgery before I go because I'm not going to be comfortable. And then number two, my mom, I wanted her to finish her radiation treatment. Then I was at peace then. And God knew that. I talked to him.
Mm-hmm.
But during that time, with, I know you asked how the impact it had on Terrence. He was there
Yeah.
every step of the way. And I didn't tell anybody. My children knew and my husband, and only my sister knew.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, I just kept it because I didn't want, anybody to worry or anything.
Yeah.
And so I had the surgery. But when I had the surgery, that's when I told them. That's when family came out and everything. But the healing went very well. But during that time, God really, really showed me how to take care of myself
Mm-hmm.
and for me to minister to other women how to take care of themselves
Yeah.
and how our body, Michelle, we don't think we're experiencing stress, but we do. We hold a lot of stress in, and that is what causes that. And I can tell you, I didn't grieve because I wanted to heal and protect myself. Because that 2018, I lost my brother. I
Mm-hmm.
lost my brother. I found out I had the aneurysm January. He passed that April, and then my dad passed that November.
Oh, wow.
And but I still had to show up for my mom. She was grieving, but also she was going through her
Yeah.
cancer treatments, and so we had to be there for each other, and then being there for the children and everything. And
Mm-hmm.
my husband, he was holding it together,
Mm-hmm.
being the rock that he is. But as a wife, I also knew that he had. I had to ask him, "How do you feel?"
Yeah.
Because
I mean,
sometimes, yeah,
because
they carry that
I mean,
weight.
not to interrupt you, but I just think about every time you said, not now, not now, not now, your faith was saying, it's okay, God's got me. But was Terry's faith matching yours? Is my question.
He was scared.
Mm-hmm.
He was very concerned,
Yeah.
but I think he had to hold it together as well for the children, because
Yeah.
they watching. If he breaks down, then. But you know what, Michelle, that's a whole nother story. How I feel that men are trained, were raised in that era, right?
Yeah.
Not to express their feelings.
Yeah.
So I think he held a lot of that in. But I saw the worry. He never left my side. The kids were older then, so they
Mhm.
were up there. But my daughter was, she when she wasn't there, she was working. But he was there every day.
Wow.
Wouldn't did not leave my side whatsoever. And I just truly appreciate that. And then so afterwards, doing my healing, he worked from home
Mhm.
and everything. And I was just blessed.
Yeah, that's amazing. And thank you for sharing that, because I do think um, men try to hold everything together.
Yes.
They try to put on this strong front, and sometimes they really do have concern just
Mhm.
out of love and care for us, but protection and, all those things
Yeah,
identify them as a man to themselves and to
right.
the other men.
And
And so I just, in my mind, I just imagine Ray. He's a little different than Terry. He would have gave it to me, girl. He would have told me, "What are you doing, woman?" And no, no, he would have fought me tooth and nail, not because he lacked faith, but because he would have needed me to put him on that same page that I was on. He would have been so confused and not understood why I was taking that risk. You know what I mean?
and
And
and and as I, not to cut you off, as I look back, I would have done the same thing,
yeah.
because the reason is then my healing process.
Mhm.
I wouldn't have been able to heal, because that's what they tell you. You have to be at
Yeah.
peace. And they
Yeah.
ask you, are you going back to a place where you can rest? Because the only thing you do all day is sleep. because that's the
Mm,
way your brain is going to heal. And that's
yeah.
when I really got into the deep meditation, because we pray. I'm like, do we meditate? And I was just able to really talk with God. And I had this little, thing. I would say, God, okay, is this your way of getting my attention?
Yeah.
you know but I also have to honor my husband's feelings as well too.
Right.
That's how I was able to really talk to him to see how he felt. And he was like, you concerned about me, I'm concerned about you. I said, well, part of my healing is knowing that you're okay too, because I'm not able to serve in that role, as being the um
Why?
being there, like I'm used to, being there and everything. And because I'm like, because he had some restless nights, because he was so concerned. He would sit up and just watch and make sure I was okay.
Yeah.
So because I unfortunately I did have a seizure. I know that really got to him.
Ooh.
I had a seizure, and the doctors, they weren't even expecting that as well
Mm.
either, but they say sometimes when you mess with the brain, that can happen. So that happened, and that really
Was
upset
that post
me.
surgery?
Yeah, it was after. Yep, I
Mm.
had surgery that Thursday, and it happened that Sunday.
Oh wow. Yeah.
So that really scared him, and so that's why he was just really watching. Because he, actually, I was supposed to come home that Sunday, because they was like 3 days, Marlene, you're going to be able to come home. I'm like, okay, and then that happened, so I had to stay a couple of days.
Yeah.
But so I knew that really did have an effect on him.
Hmm. And
And
when you came home, did he have to take on the role as a caregiver?
he did, he
Mhm.
did, he did. And him and my daughter, my son was in college, so
Mhm.
he was calling all the time. But yes, my daughter was here. She was in high school. I think she was a senior. No, she was a junior then.
Mhm.
So she was here to help as well. It was pretty good. They all gave a helping hand, because I know one of the things too is my speech was slurred,
Mm.
after that, Michelle, and also my balance.
Mm.
So it's like, and you mentioned earlier where you talked about being friends.
Yeah.
Um, I go back to when you are best friends. Sometimes best friends, you're there for each other. It goes beyond being just husband and wife. He got me as husband and wife, but as being best friends, he was my friend as well, because I feel comfortable telling him my fears and everything, and not being judged. So that goes back to that, because I'm like, oh my gosh, because
Yeah.
when I saw the scar,
Yeah.
excuse me, when I saw the scar, I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
He was like, who I see? He said, I see my wife, and she's alive.
Uh-huh.
So that it was a change, and I'm like, and that was unexpected. And so
Yeah.
I had to go through that, Michelle, and he was just there for me doing, the law. I suffered, the loss, and so sometimes I say, life just it comes with a interruption we don't even prepare for.
Yeah.
And so sometimes we don't know how to show up for each other, but we did as friends. We showed up for each other, and as husband and wife.
Mhm. And so, would you say that situation, that experience overall brought you guys closer together?
Oh yes, because I know he lost his father first back
Mm.
in 2012, um, and I feel that I was there, but I still felt that guard up, like he couldn't unleash
Yeah.
the way he wanted to. And so even now, where by me being a caregiver with my parents, and he was a caregiver with his father,
Mhm.
um, he's going through it as well with his mom now. She has, dementia.
Mm.
So that right there is, we just have to show up for each other. And I know when he's tired, and I have to tell him, babes, it's okay. You need to rest. So that's how we're taking care of each other now.
Yeah.
You have to tell them it's okay. We got each other's back. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. And I think it's so needed. Like, to me, a sign of a healthy marriage, especially for men, is when they feel safe to just release, to just relax, to
Now I'm
not.
still working on that, Michelle. Not to cut you off. I'm
No,
still,
no,
I'm still meaning that, and I feel that he sees that, understands it more now,
mm,
because of our son.
yeah,
And I said we have to give him a different narrative to say that it's okay.
right.
It's okay for you to hurt. It's okay, especially when he went through it with me. And I think by being a minister,
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure you've experienced this too. They always have to show up for everybody else.
Yeah, yeah,
For everybody else. And I think sometimes they forget that they're human as well. Okay, and they get tired, So, but I'm like, babes, it's okay if you're tired. You have to, be
yeah,
able to say, I'm tired. Because I have this thing now. People respect what you respect.
yeah, yeah.
You
Well, I
know.
feel like as a wife, all we can do is set the atmosphere and
Hmm.
pray. Set the atmosphere and pray for
Yes.
our husbands to feel comfortable enough to do that because it's so needed.
It
And
is.
we're not asking them not. First of all, it doesn't make you any less of a man to
Right.
cry or
Hmm.
to say, "Hey, I'm tired," because tired is not just physical, it could be mental and emotional.
Yes.
It could be so many things, and they need our help. And
Yeah.
not necessarily in a tangible way, but in an atmospheric way where we just give them permission to exhale. And
Yes. And that's the thing. Yeah. I
yeah, I love
totally
that
agree.
you're offering that for him. So that's all you can do is offer it, right?
Yeah. And I'm like, you're safe with me,
Yeah.
so and I think that you have to know when to extend that. And when they're ready, they'll take your hand and just feel comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, um, you expressed woo, a powerful situation experience that you guys had and a really ideal dynamic. Um, what advice would you give, even and what we're speaking now with creating this safe space for your husband, but in addition to that, cultivating the type of relationship where there's friendship and love and care for one another, um, while maintaining your own womanhood and independence and pursuing your own purpose like you've done with your book writing and with your working with girls and
Hmm.
through your AI training and things like that. What advice would you give to a woman who's trying to balance it all or embrace it all? Wear all the caps with a positive attitude and joy. What
Right.
would you say to them?
It's all about working in harmony, um, Michelle, and being in alignment with your gifts.
Mhm.
And you have to know which season that you're in and not be selfish.
Mm.
Meaning that it's not about you. When you decide to become married, when you decide to become a mother, is not putting yourself second. Actually, it's an extension of you, and you have to allow yourself to grow, and you have to allow yourself to be able to still stay in alignment and true to who you are. Because first of all, like I tell myself, and we tell each other, me and my husband, um, I've never been a mother to a daughter before. I've never been a mother to a son before, when they first were born, right? You have to remember who you were before you became that wife or that mother. Those are the roles that you play, but who are you at heart? Who did God call you to be?
Yeah.
And how you can stay true to yourself is by checking in on yourself daily. You know, take time for yourself. And that's one of the things. I know I was always there for everybody else, but the one thing I did do, my kids, they send and tease us now. I always nurtured our marriage.
Nice.
because we said this is where the breakdown will begin, is with the mother and the father. And you know what happens, right? And it all comes from you not nurturing what God has put together.
Yeah.
So they were always in the bed every night at 8 o'clock when they were in school.
Mm-hmm.
And after then, that's when we were able to, I clean the kitchen, do whatever I needed to do. That was our quiet time.
Yeah.
And we had date nights. Even to this day, we look forward to doing that. Even we had, our nights with the kids and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But our date night, we would put them to bed. We'll just sit down and watch a movie. That was our time, Michelle. And we stayed in the courting, as they would say, old school.
Right.
And I tell my daughter that now, it's so awesome when she calls. She said, "Mom, I want that. I witnessed that." Because, we still, I don't know if couples do it now. We just tell couples. I said, we send text messages to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Little love notes, and we'll check in on each other. We know each other's schedule. I'm like, "You been at the store? Are you okay?" So
Yeah.
but that's from being friends. If I had advice to give to anybody, be friends first, because we may have a disagreement as husband and wife, but friends always look out for each other.
Yeah.
Because he'll say, "Hey, what you want to eat? You want me to pick you up something to eat?" And girl, we been forgot what we even argued about.
Mm-hmm.
That's what being friends, when you have that strong foundation. Take the time to build a strong friendship, because you want to be able to see him in all seasons.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. So, okay. Last question. And you kind of probably already touched on it a little bit, but I love to ask my guests, in one word or phrase, maybe even one sentence, how would you define a wife for life?
Whew.
It's a tough one.
That is a tough one, Michelle. Oh, wow.
Just maybe even what's the most important aspect of being a wife, but what a wife for life look like, sound like, act like, what's a wife for life to you?
Showing up in spite of.
I like where you going. Say it again.
Well, I'm really feeling that one. Showing up in spite of.
Tell us more. What does that mean?
Showing up in spite of, because regardless of what was going on between, like with my illness, I still showed up.
Yeah.
As a mother, as a wife, as a friend, I still showed up, because that represents my faith. If you truly believe, you're going to have to trust in God. And I know that's what I did. I had one of my friends that said, "Because of you, my faith has gotten stronger." Wow. Some people may say it's foolish. And I said, but I know that God put me through the test. But showing up, Michelle, in spite of, when it comes to our children, don't we show up?
Oh yeah.
He gives us this strength. Yes, in spite of, we got this strength no matter what.
Yeah.
Because even before I had my surgery, my daughter had just got her license. I had already put together a schedule of her, getting down there. No, my son was here, and they had driven on an expressway before. Girl, I put together the schedule. I said, "Okay, you gonna ride with such and such." After I had that surgery, I didn't know north from south. All I know, when I looked up, they were there.
Yeah.
That was their time. I had to loose the reins and loose, but I was still showing up as mom. And I still showed up as wife, because I wanted to make sure my husband was being taken care of as well. Yeah. And that's what we do.
That is what we do. That is what we should do. That is what we're going to do, is show up despite of.
Yes.
I appreciate you sharing that. I have a love for that. Because as we said, in relationships and marriages, they're for the long haul. And if you plan on being in a relationship until death do you part, you're going to
Mm-hmm.
experience some things.
Oh yeah.
You're going to see some differences. You're going to be disappointed sometimes, but we
Mm-hmm.
still have to show up despite of. And I even think about, sometimes you may argue, does that mean you don't cook dinner, or you don't, take care of the home, or you don't serve him in whatever capacity that you do? No, you show up despite of, regardless of what you guys may be going through. And
Yeah.
so, I want to encourage you guys, if you're not already showing up in spite of, that you challenge yourself to do that. Now, Marlene and I, we recognize there may be some extenuating circumstances
Right.
where you may have a situation that is not falling in alignment with the type of relationship we're describing here.
Right.
But if you have a decent relationship, if you guys are trying to both build a healthy relationship, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about a growth mindset, a level of relational maturity that says, just because I'm not happy with you right now doesn't mean I'm not going to show up for you right
Right. Yes.
you know. So yeah, ooh, that's a great one, and I am so happy to have you, Marlene. I feel like I wanted to talk to you about some other awesome things you got going on in your life, but I totally was not ready for you to drop that bomb.
Yeah.
And man, what a beautiful story. And I appreciate so much your transparency and your willing to share that, because
Mm-hmm.
part of challenges, oftentimes people think of challenges as, he may be a saver and I'm a spender, or, we got into this argument because we're not seeing eye to eye. But health challenges,
That's a whole nother story.
baby, that is a whole
And that's another day. We can talk about,
yeah,
the other areas that has an impact, and you see with intimacy and how that plays a part. Those are topics I think we should really, really talk more about as well, and maybe later. I think
yeah.
that has a great impact. I'm pretty sure from your experience working with couples,
Mhm.
where health challenges or even financial challenges will affect that. And
Yeah.
like you said, that's not part of showing up.
Mm, come on.
We have to show up, and it's that's a whole nother.
Ooh, yeah, listen, we were talking a little bit about that for all of you guys who don't know, and you live locally in Chicago or in Chicagoland area. We just had a panel discussion
Mhm.
in October around intimacy. It was an all male panel,
Oh
and
wow.
they got to express what they consider sex versus intimacy and what those things look like to
Oh
them.
wow.
It was phenomenal. I mean, they did an amazing job. And we came from the spiritual, from the practical, and from
Oh,
the
I
psych.
love that.
So, yeah, it was amazing. So, yes, we're having these conversations. So, I just want to encourage you guys to make sure you're following us on Instagram. I'm at Mrs. Ma'am, MRSMAHM. Michelle McElroy on all platforms. You can find me. And hey, guys, show up, come out and have fun, because we feed you. We have a good time. We laugh. There's music. It's a vibe. The atmosphere is phenomenal and appropriate for whatever the
Mhm.
topic is.
Okay.
But at the same time, it's educational, it's uplifting, it's inspiring, it's encouraging, and it's all about growing in your relationship. So yeah, I threw in a little sound bite there, but it
No,
worked.
I love it. This is what we need. We need
Yeah.
that. We really, really do.
Yeah. So thanks again, Marlene, for coming to
Okay.
Wife for Life. I appreciate you so much. Thank you. Thank
Thank you. Thank you for having me on it. And you make sure you tell Ray I said hello.
I will. I will. And the same with Terry. And guys, I want to thank you too for showing up for Wife for Life, the podcast, and your girl, your favorite, Mary.
Yes, yes, yes.
I appreciate you guys so much, and I'm looking forward to sharing another episode with you. Thank you guys for joining me for another season. This has been phenomenal with Marlene and with you guys, and I'm looking forward to another time together. Check your girl out and do share, follow, like, subscribe, all the things, but share, share, and share. Until next time, happy loving.